Kancana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhushtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Dadita Shri Vishaklandatamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Shavini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatare Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Kartushe Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Kilamami Vipriye Mancha Kaupaturvesha Kripasindhuveva Cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Studying Sri Ishopanishad, we begin the last section of this book, which is from mantras 15 to 18. In this section, the devotee who is speaking the verses of Sri Ishopanishad is going to launch a prayer to appease the Supreme Lord in order to let the Supreme Lord mercifully remove the effulgence that is covering the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. So it's a prayer to remove the Lord's effulgence. In mantras 12 to 14, we discussed about the necessity of understanding Krishna in relationship with his material energies. Mantra 15 explains that one must also understand Krishna's relationship with the spiritual potency, the Brahma Jyoti, in order to achieve realization of him. So as I mentioned before, Upanishad are scriptures for those who are having inclination towards impersonal aspect of absolute truth. So slowly the Upanishad is trying to convince upon them that the absolute truth is a person. Now, after that person has come to understand absolute truth is a person, then that person would want to see the form of that absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to be able to see that form, this impersonalist will have to then say a prayer, request the Lord that for now, I can only see your bright effulgence. But that effulgence is covering up your form. Just like when you are traveling on a highway and a big truck is coming from the other side, it's nighttime. Then the headlights of the truck, when they throw the beam of light on your face, your eyes can only see the glaring effulgence that's coming from that direction. The eyes cannot see the truck, the vehicle. The eyes can only see the light. Only when the vehicle starts coming closer and closer, you begin to notice, okay, behind this light, this effulgence, there is a car or there's a truck, there's a lorry, right? Similarly, the supreme effulgence of the Supreme Lord is so bright that it covers up the form of the Lord which is behind that effulgence. So here the impersonalist is praying, kindly remove that effulgence so that I can see a beautiful form. So those prayers are spoken here from mantra 15 to mantra 18. Prayers for the mercy of the Lord. We'll have some very important lessons to learn here. Let's chant this verse. It's a very commonly remembered mantra, and it's mentioned in many places. Even Srila Prabhupada quotes it. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tatvam pushana pavrinu satya dharmaya drishtaye. Translation. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Hiranmayena patrena. So lots of beautiful meanings given to this mantra by different acharyas. Hiranmayena and patrena. Hiranmayena means made up of gold. Hiranmaya. And patra, the word patra can have different meanings. One of the meanings of the word patra is a vessel, from which you drink. That's also called patra. So Hiranmayena Patrena can refer to the sun. Sun is the golden vessel. And from that golden vessel, what are the living entities drinking? The living entities are drinking the sun rays, which means the eyes are receiving the sun rays from the golden vessel of the sun. Sun is a representative of Krishna. So the point that this devotee is trying to make is that the dazzling effulgence of your impersonal form, which is just like the sun, is covering my vision. I'm drinking those rays that are coming from that glaring effulgence. So what you do, you place Satyasyapitam Mukham. One of the names of the Lord is Satya, right? So he's saying, oh Lord Satya, what you do is you remove this effulgence and I want to see your Mukham, your beautiful face. If the Lord says, why do you want to see my face? So then he says, Tattam Pushana Bhavrinu, because you are my maintainer, you are my provider, you are my sustainer. I have that kind of relationship with you, so I wish to see you. Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. And those who are devotees, they are known as Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. They should be eligible to see you. So kindly show yourself to me. That's the prayer. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, first of all, he tries to convince upon us how Brahmajyoti is coming from Krishna and how Krishna's position is most supreme position. Krishna is the source of impersonal Brahman, as Krishna himself says in Bhagavad-gita 14.27. Let's read this paragraph, first paragraph. In the Bhagavad-gita 14.27, the Lord explains his personal rays, Brahma-jyotir, the dazzling effulgence of his personal form in this way. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, amritasya vayasya cha, shashvatasya cha dharmasya, sukhasya kantikasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are three aspects of the same absolute truth. We have understood it many times before. So, in simple words, what is Brahman? Brahman is an impersonal effulgence of the Lord, just like there is sunlight coming out from the sun. As simple as that. Who is Paramatma? Paramatma is that personality situated in everyone's heart, or is like the localized aspect of the sun globe, which everyone present in the universe can always see. And the third is Bhagavan. who is like the sun god living in the sun planet, the personality. So that example is given by Sripad very often. Let's read this paragraph now. Okay. Dev Prabhu, read the paragraph that you can see on screen. What happened with that? Are you reading, Prabhu? No. Yes, no. Okay, someone else read then, please. Vidyabhushana.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thus, by his one plenary expansions, the all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord maintains the complete material cosmic creation. He also maintains all manifestations in the spiritual world. Therefore, in this Shruti mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the Lord is addressed as a Pushan, the ultimate maintainer. Can I have the next one, Boo? Or?
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Krishna is the maintainer. Now Srila Prabhupada gives the example how Krishna, when he came in Vrindavan, he performed pastimes through which he maintained his devotees in many ways. So maintenance also means to do things for the pleasure of the devotees. Let's read the next paragraph. Premavati Mataji.
The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is always filled with transcendental bliss, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗶. When he was present at Vrindavan in India 5,000 years ago, he always remains in the transcendental bliss, even from the beginning of his childhood pastimes. The killing of the various demons, such as Agha, Baka, Putana, and Pralamba, were but pleasure excursions for him. In his village of Vrindavan, he enjoyed himself with his mother, brother, and friends. And when he played the role of a naughty butter thief, all his associates enjoyed celestial bliss by his stealing. The Lord's fame as a butter thief is not reproachable, for by stealing the butter, the Lord gave pleasure to his pure devotees. Everything the Lord did in Vrindavan was for the pleasure of his associates there. The Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry. Prabhu, can you scroll up? Okay. The Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry spectaculars and the acrobats of the so-called Bhakti Yoga system who wish to find the absolute truth. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Right. Let's read this paragraph now by Vishvanatha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Since it is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavana Dhamma, one may ask how he manages the affairs of the creation. This is answered in the Bhagavad-gita 13.14 to 18. The Lord pervades the entire material creation by his plenary part known as the Paramatma or Supersoul. Although the Lord personally has nothing to do with material creation, maintenance, and destruction, he causes all these things to be done by his plenary expansion, the Paramatma. Every living entity is known as Atma, soul, and the principal Atma who controls them all is the Paramatma, the super soul. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So the role of Paramatma is, because the Lord is present in the spiritual world, how would he manage the affairs of the material world? He does that through the Paramatma, who is in charge of the material creation, maintenance, and destruction. And he's also the principal Atma, who controls all the other individual tiny living entities or jivatmas. And Paramatma is one of the expansions of Vishnu Tattva of Krishna, known as Purusha Avatar, also known as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, right? And he is the same Vishnu amongst the three, known as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha. So the same personality is known as Paramatma, or Vishnu amongst these three, or known as Kshirodakshai Vishnu. That's Paramatma. So his role is explained by Jiva Goswami in this manner, that if a child of a king wants to go to a fair, so the king will send the child along with a minister. That this minister, you kindly go with the child, take care of the child, make sure that the child does not get hurt while playing around there or visiting different places in the fair, and bring the child back home safely. That's what Paramatma also does. When the jiva comes to the material world, the Paramatma has the duty to make sure that the jiva will someday go back home, back to God. Will return to the spiritual world. Okay, is my voice lagging, Hare Krishna, or is it clear?
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Fine. All right.
Prabhu, can I just have a doubt in one of the earlier paragraphs. Is it okay if I can ask you now, or should it be after you end this mantra?
You can ask now. Yes,
Okay.
Vishpa.
So, Prabhu, previous, I think in the second para, not second, the third, the book it's the third para, the last bit where it says, the Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry speculators and the acrobats of the so-called Hatha Yoga system who wish to find the absolute truth. So, can you explain that a little bit, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna. The para which talks about all these pastimes. Yeah, yes.
So why the Lord has so many pastimes? Why does he perform those pastimes? So it is explained that he performs those pastimes after coming to this material world in order to give opportunities for people to know those pastimes, be attracted towards those pastimes, and understand how the process of Bhakti Yoga is much more enlivening than the other yoga systems. Because those who are followers of Jnana Yoga, they are here mentioned as dry speculators. Okay, and the followers of Ashtanga Yoga are here mentioned as acrobats. So these people, their path of enlightenment is very boring. It doesn't have that advantage of experiencing rasas, friendship, loving Krishna, treating Krishna as a baby, child. So then it becomes very boring for them. So when they have done it for a long time and then they hear about Krishna's pastimes, which are so enlivening, so then they can easily switch over to this option of Bhakti Yoga. That's why Krishna does. Now, that's not the only reason why Krishna does those pastimes. Here, Prabhupada is only mentioning that reason because the audience is impersonalist and they have to be converted into personalists.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yes. This paragraph, please. Achyut Priya Kishore.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sankhya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation, for they have very little information of the Purusha, the Lord, and the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahmjyoti. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Sri Ishopanishad points towards his direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranyamaya Patra, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed, so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead, factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Then one can see the beautiful form of the Lord. Yes, the perception of the Lord comes through the process of hearing and contemplating, known as Shravanam and Mananam. Through the process of hearing, we get the eyes to see Krishna or see Lord Vishnu. When we have seen Lord Vishnu, then we become qualified as liberated personality or liberated soul. After we have become liberated, in order to actually enter into the spiritual world and look at Krishna's pastimes, observe those pastimes, one has to then not only be a liberated soul, one has to also pray for the mercy of the Lord, even after the stage of liberation. If someone is already seeing Brahma Jyoti, we should know that person is liberated soul. So now that person who is liberated soul, in order to see Krishna or Vishnu, even that person has to pray, which means request Krishna that I want to see your form. So kindly help me or show it to me. So what we understand from here is that prayers are very essential on the path of self-realization. Some comparative analysis of the transcendentalist. The followers of Sankhya Yoga, their vision is they see absolute truth as matter, or they see absolute truth as elements of material world. And therefore their level of God realization is God is this universe. Then the next one is Jnana Yogis. And they see absolute truth without any potency, or also known as energy. So they see God without any energy. For them, the possible level of realization is Brahman. Only God exists. That's what they understand. The next one is Ashtanga Yoga, or just known as yoga. And there they understand that absolute truth exists with material potencies. Paramatma is existing in this world, and that Paramatma has material energies. So then they are able to realize the Paramatma feature of Krishna. And finally, there is Bhakti Yoga process, where the vision is absolute truth has all the potencies, spiritual as well as material. And then that person is able to realize Bhagavan. So Sankhya Yogis can also be known as Karmis, then Jnanis, then Yogis, and then Bhaktas. In simple words, a very hardworking man is the first category, a philosopher is the second category, a mystic yogi is the third, and a devotee always engaged in service of Krishna is the fourth. That's mentioned here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
In that presentation, Prabhuji, about Satchidananda, can you just show Prabhuji also?
This one.
So here, Prabhuji, in are we not transmigrating in all these four elements in our neophyte stage? Like we sometimes, or should we always say we are in Bhakti Yoga stage only, actually? During neophyte, while understanding Bhagavad-gita, while chanting. So one has all these kind of experiences, no?
So,
or it is a absolute plane, like one will be in that plane, one will be in this plane, one will be like this. Is it as simple as this? what we portray.
It's not like that. You see, when we say a neophyte Krishna devotee also, that person has bhakti present in the process of self-realization, but bhakti may not be 100% the process. There may also be mixtures of karma and jnana. It's possible. So according to the amount of karma and jnana, that person also may initially not have complete Bhagwan realization. It's possible. So, but even to come to that level of realization that someone is able to see Brahma Jyoti, you cannot call that person a neophyte. Because coming to the level of realizing Brahma Jyoti means that you have gone beyond the three modes. So we cannot call that person neophyte. That person is still advanced, quite advanced, right? Now, what we need to understand in this way that you see when you take to a course, let's say you join a particular course in a university. In that course, when you get admission, you get admission as a first-year student, right? And in that course, there may be 4 years of studies or 5 years of studies. There might be another course in which someone is already in the final year, and there is another course in which you have joined and you are in first year. That person is in final year, so you can't call that person neophyte, right? But if your course is comparatively to that person, if your course is of superlative degree excellence, then one can also say a beginner in this course is much greater than advanced personalities in that course. Isn't it? Right? So that's how it happens with someone who has joined the path of Bhakti Yoga. A person must join the path of Bhakti Yoga because he's pursuing the path of Bhakti Yoga. In a neophyte stage also, he may get glimpses of realizations of different platforms or different levels. But that doesn't mean that that person will be called as a Sankhya Yogi or a Jnana Yogi or an Ashtanga Yogi. That person will be called as Bhakti Yogi only because he has specifically joined that course. And on the way, one may get such kind of realizations, but those realizations are not his ultimate goal. You understand?
Yes, bro. Just that I was thinking it's mysterious that a Jnana Yogi, even we are also actually learning knowledge, but the Jnana Yogi will not come to a stage of Bhakti Yoga.
When we say Jnana Yogi and when we are saying when we are learning knowledge, the word Jnana is a very neutral word. Jnana can also mean knowledge of matter. Jnana can also mean knowledge of soul. Jnana can also mean knowledge of Paramatma. Jnana can also mean knowledge of Bhakti. So when we are engaging in studies, you cannot call it as Jnana Yoga. It will be still called as Bhakti Yoga because you are studying about Bhakti. You're studying for Bhakti. So it will not be called as Jnana Yoga.
Okay.
Jnana Yogis are those for whom the whole process is of analysis. That's why they're called Jnana Yogis. But our whole process is not of analysis, right? Our whole process is of Shravana.
Okay.
That is also in one sense Jnana, but it is not that kind of Jnana. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Bro, in a last para, in the point we're discussing that to reach the Supreme Lord, we have been told that we have to process the 24 elements as well as the Brahma Jyoti. If I don't follow the Brahma Jyoti, still I should encounter the Brahma Jyoti to supposed to reach the Supreme Lord. Why I should go for it? I mean, why I will face that? Because I accept the Supreme Lord as he's not an impersonal, he's a personal, I accept it. Why I do want to suppress this Brahma Jyoti to reach the Supreme Lord. Whereas when I cross the elements,
Yeah, so you see, this process which is being mentioned here in Upanishad is not for someone who has from the beginning done the sadhana of Bhakti Yoga. This is for whom? Who has done initially the sadhana of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga.
Okay.
Now has come to the platform of Brahman realization and is stuck now.
Okay.
Right? So now you are stuck. So now you want to move further.
All right. Okay.
So someone is taking to the path of Bhakti Yoga right from day one, then the trajectory of that person's movement, forward to the destination will not be same as what is explained here in this particular series of verses.
Okay. Got it. So this is particularly for those follows the Brahma Jyoti philosophy. They've got stuck and they may have to encounter this to process to reach the Supreme Thought.
They'll get stuck here, and then they will have to pray and request for Krishna's mercy. For a Bhakti Yoga practitioner, he is praying to Krishna for mercy from day one.
Okay.
Right? And he's already seeing the deity form of Krishna, already accepting that as Krishna's form. And so for him, this particular, trajectory will not be there. For him, some other trajectory will be there. Something like that.
Okay.
But this is specifically for an audience who is coming from Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, getting stuck, and then they want to now advance themselves towards Bhakti Yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can I ask a question regarding the last slide which you have shown?
Yes, Madhusudana.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I really wanted to know what is the difference between the Sankhya Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga people, because there you have stated that Sankhya Yoga takes absolute truth as matter, and Ashtanga Yoga people take absolute truth. They only understand the material potency. So, as far as I know, I know that that the final aim of Ashtanga Yogi is also Brahman effulgence. And so, what about Sankhya Yogi?
Okay. So we'll talk about this Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga difference more when we study Bhagavad-gita. So let's just address this part. What about Sankhya Yogis? The word Sankhya, technically, the meaning of that is analysis. Sankhya, right? So if you bring Sankhya to very basic level, then even playing Sudoku game is Sankhya. You understand it? Yeah. Any kind of analysis you are doing, whether it's mathematical calculation, whether you're studying chemistry, whether you are a jeweler and you are separating diamond from gold and gold from silver, that's called Sankhya. Understand? So on a material platform, when you apply Sankhya, you are just separating one material element from another material element. Now, when we say Jnana Yoga, you add few more stuff to your arena of analysis. And what is that? Till now, you are trying to understand the difference between material elements. Now you add the element of Atma there, and then you try to understand the difference between matter and spirit. Okay. So then because that spiritual element has come into picture, so the realization will be Brahman realization. Atma always exists, eternity feature. I always exist. I don't die. Right. So this is the difference between Sankhya and Jnana Yogi. Sankhya Yogi basically means anyone who's engaged in material life and who's analyzing things with material life. This is profit, this is loss, this is my friend, this is my enemy, this is wood, this is cement, this is glass, this is this is that. All right. Fine. Okay. Let's continue. Yes, materialistic scientists are Sankhyas, followers of Sankhya. They're busy in identifying the difference between material elements, material forces, and all that. Right. Okay, someone has to read this paragraph. Tulasi Toshika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the spiritual realm, beyond the material covering, is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, which is free from material contamination. That effulgent white light is understood by transcendentalists to be the light of all lights. In that realm, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity for illumination. Indeed, whatever illumination appears in the material world is only a reflection of that supreme illumination. That Brahman is in front and in back, in the north, south, east, and west, and also overhead and below. In other words, that supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material and spiritual skies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very clear. Next paragraph. Satish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna at the root of this Brahman effulgence. This knowledge can be gained from such scriptures as Srimad Bhagavatam, which perfectly elaborates the science of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the author Srila Vyasadeva has established that one will describe the supreme truth as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, according to one's realization of him. Srila Vyasadeva never states that the supreme truth is a jiva, or ordinary living entity. The living entity should never be considered the all-powerful supreme truth. If he were the supreme, he would not need to pray to the Lord to remove his dazzling cover so that a living entity could see his real face. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So Srila Vidyabhushana Prabhu explains a bit more in detail the whole process, how it works for these spiritualists. That, when the Guru has taught the sadhaka of Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga, meditation on Paramatma, and has told how the form of Paramatma looks like. So then the student or disciple will engage in selfless worship of the Paramatma, so that he can or she can one day see that Lord and attain a liberated state. So this, for that person, begins how that person has come to the level of Brahman realization, and now the Guru told, you see, there's a Lord sitting in your heart. He looks like this, and this Lord also looks in the spirit, also lives in the spiritual world. So now you try to see that form of the Lord. So because he's sitting in meditation, and his meditation is only taking him to that light, and he's not able to go beyond the light. It's like he gets stuck there. If he wants to move forward, he's not allowed to move forward. So now, because the Guru has told him, try to see the Lord, and he's trying his hard to go beyond the light, because he's not getting the success, then he would pray, okay, my dear Lord, now please you help me. So then this verse would be spoken by such person. But however, for devotees, the process is different. That the devotees, they do Shravanam, Kirtanam, Mananam, and through that they become qualified to see the form of the Lord. And when they see the form of the Lord, as I mentioned, then they become liberated. But in order to meet the Lord, in order to enter into Lord's pastimes, to enter into his abode, then the devotee will have to pray to Krishna, pray for that special blessing or mercy. So therefore, in this whole mantra, for us to take away with us, the practical point is that we need to be very prayerful in our approach to Krishna consciousness. Not that because I have done my duties in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will definitely give me success. Even if I have done my sadhana as perfectly as possible, even if I am doing lots of services for Krishna, still I need to pray to Krishna for that benediction, that I can someday experience Krishna, be with Krishna, and play with Krishna, or live with Krishna, serve Krishna. So that's the takeaway for devotees. Now, what covers the vision of the soul to see the Paramatma, though the Paramatma is sitting very close to us in the heart? So Vedanta Deshika explains that it's the mode of passion, Rajoguna, which doesn't allow the mind to focus on the super soul. It keeps the mind distracted. Very easy to understand, isn't it? For those who are affected by mode of passion to a great degree or to any degree, their mind will never be stable. The mind will always be in a constant flux, change of thoughts, change of desires, change of emotions. The mind is always changing. I want to do this now, immediately I want to do that now, immediately I want to do the third thing now. So that mind then cannot focus on the super soul and does not realize the super soul. So you come to Sattva Guna, that makes you qualified then to see the super soul. Brahman realization happens and then Paramatma realization happens. Let's read next paragraph. Okay, we are done almost. This paragraph we already discussed in the slide. So in this regard, also His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, he said something. He has written some books. So one of those books are reflection series. And one of those books are on this Sri Ishopanishad, because Sri Ishopanishad was one of the first books that His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj read as he came to Krishna consciousness. So he says here that only that person will pray when that person has a strong desire to get something. Until unless I have a strong desire to get something, I won't pray. Either I won't pray if I don't have a strong desire for it, or I won't pray when I think I can do it on my own. I don't need someone's help, right? Because prayer is a request. And why will you make that request? You'll make that request because you either you cannot do it on your own, or you're not interested in it. You don't want it. So therefore, he explains how devotees, they should pray to Krishna more often than what they do. And there's nothing wrong to pray to Krishna, even for things which are seemingly material. But if those things are required for us to serve Krishna. If someone doesn't have faith that Krishna protects, Krishna provides, Krishna maintains, Krishna helps, then one should even ask to Krishna for material things, so that when Krishna does give us those material things, our faith in Krishna will grow, that yes, he exists, he provides, he maintains, he helps. So for most of the people who are conditioned souls, they don't have this faith that God gives when you ask him. They don't really have such a strong faith. So for them, it's very nice, even if for things which are related to my Krishna consciousness, but which are seemingly material, but will be useful in Krishna consciousness. If I pray to Krishna, there's nothing wrong about it. I can ask Krishna for those things, that you can give me these things and I can use these things in your seva, in your service. Those things can be facility, those things can be good health, those things can be good memory, money, it can be some particular seva, it can be some competence, some ability, some capacity. So one can ask Krishna for those things, that when I get these things from you, then I can use these things to serve you back. You see, Srila Prabhupada, when you study his life, he also seems to be such an ambitious man. And when you study the life of successful people in this world, materialistically successful, they also seem to be so ambitious about what they want to do. If you look at superficial platform, they both are ambitious. It's not that Prabhupada was not ambitious. He also used to speak very high, what he wants to do, what he wants to achieve, right? I was reading Leelamrit recently, so devotees are somehow other now, managing all the temples all over the world, and Sripad immediately launches the plan that we'll have a world headquarters in Mayapur, and Mayapur will be the spiritual capital of the world. And then he says 50,000 people will live in Mayapur. And, for transportation, says there should be roadways, there should be waterways, there should be airways to bring people to Mayapur. So devotees were thinking that Prabhupada is such a big dreamer. He has not completed one thing and he has already started dreaming about the next thing. If you read the description, he was saying, we'll make a palace for Radha Madhav, and the pillars in that palace will be made of gold, silver, and diamond. This is what Prabhupada is thinking about. So if anyone reads such descriptions, what will that person think? That this man is so ambitious. This man wants to do so much. But do for what? And do for whom? Do for Krishna. Right? So His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj writes in that book that there is nothing wrong to have such kind of mood. And at the same time, one should not be childish that Krishna, because I asked this to you, you must give. No. So there's nothing wrong in thinking like that, in praying like that, in wishing like that. But at the same time, you should not become childish that if Krishna does not give, then I'm not going to worship Krishna anymore. But he said, this is nice to have such kind of attitude that you depend on Krishna and ask Krishna for things. Sometimes I have noticed that devotees become so afraid of asking things to Krishna that if I do this, will it not be against pure devotional service? So even if they go in front of the deity, they don't feel like asking anything. And in that way, they actually stop those emotions which should naturally flow out of your heart when you are in front of the Supreme Personality of God. As soon as you go in front of a big person, naturally there's a desire, right? I wish I could ask this person for this small help. My problems will get solved easily. So we are not interested in material help, but whatever we are interested in for a spiritual life, even if it seems to be material, it can be asked. It should be asked. And then when Krishna provides us, we can use those things to glorify Krishna, to praise Krishna, to spread Krishna's glories all across the world, right? So this is something important which he shared. It was very nice. And fine, now we can take any question from this mantra before we go to the next mantra. 16. If you don't have a question, you can put your hand down. Sorry for doing that hand exercise. Anyone has a question, you can ask before we go for a break. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanvat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dhanvat Pranam.
Prabhuji, 15th mantra, Hiranmayi, it is like the word Hiranmayi is also comes several places. Hiranmayi, Hiranyagarbha, Hiranmayi, Hiranyagarbha, it's like that. So the golden patra of significance of golden patra is what here?
I explained to you, right? The way of telling here is that Hiranmayena Patrena. So the person who is now looking at the bright effulgence, he's drinking the brightness of that effulgence through the eyes. So he's comparing to that object. Just like, let's say, the sun. The sun is an object. So you can imagine that sun as a vessel made of gold. And what is that vessel pouring out? That vessel is pouring out bright sunlight rays. And that's what you are seeing through the eyes. Here, you're not drinking the nectar, you are actually seeing that rays coming in. So the vessel is pouring out the rays, and those rays are blocking your vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
But where he is looking at? In his mind,
he's looking in that in his meditation.
In meditation. Okay.
When you close your eyes, your external eyes get closed, but your internal eyes are still open, no?
Yes, yeah.
And through those internal eyes, you're meditating and seeing certain things. So then through those internal eyes, that person sees the Brahman Jyoti.
Yeah. Okay. There he is seeing the Hiranmaya Patra.
That's how it is appearing to him. That object is appearing as like a golden vessel, so bright.
Yeah. Normally gold vessels in sunshine is bright like gold. Yeah. Okay, bro. Okay. This is happening in his mind. Yeah.
It's happening in his mind. If a Kali Yuga person will have this experience, because a Kali Yuga person might not have seen a golden vessel, then he may see a fluorescent bulb. Right? But then here this person has seen a golden vessel, and now is comparing that experience to a golden vessel.
Okay. Got it.
Alok Prabhu, question? No.
Oh, Prabhu, that was for reading. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. No, Neha Mataji, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in what way do we see the Brahman effulgence in the material sky?
Wow, what is the way you are asking?
How do we see the Brahman effulgence in the material sky? In one of the paragraphs, there is one line.
So your question is it possible to see Brahma Jyoti in the material sky? Or your question is, how do we see
Yes.
it?
Yeah. How do we see it, and in what way do we see it?
So you don't see it the way you look into the sky and you see birds flying in the sky. That's not the way. When it says material sky, it doesn't mean that you look out of the window and then you start seeing Brahman effulgence, right? Here, when it says that you are able to see the Brahman effulgence, that material sky which is being spoken about is not the material sky outside your window. That's the sky inside your mind. Because sky is everywhere. Sky is inside me, sky is outside me. So when I'm meditating, right? When I'm meditating, initially, if let's say you close your eye now, even if you close your eye, your internal eyes will create some kind of image for you to see. It may be any kind of image. It can be a shooting star. It can be a flying bird. It can be anything. It can be just darkness, right? So what is that? That vision is vision of material sky. It's material sky now. Sky means ether. Ether is everywhere. It's inside, outside, everywhere. So now when a Jnana Yogi or Ashtanga Yogi is going to sit on meditation, after that material sky, what will that person see? Brahma Jyoti. The next layer or the next level. Okay. Fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So my question is relating to being able to see things in the mind. And we know that in the material world, if we had to disclose to someone we are seeing things in our mind that doesn't really exist or that other people do not see, it is a sign of mental illness. And, how do we, from a practice, mental illness, we're like considered schizophrenic.
That may be a particular instance or a perception of particular instance, but just because you are seeing things in your mind, it doesn't really mean that you have any mental illness. It's not true.
So how do we practically distinguish for ourselves that we are not going mad. What we are experiencing is spiritual enlightenment. What is that point?
Very simple to understand. What is your background? If you have not done any spiritual practices, you have no spiritual knowledge, you are like practically, dumb and deaf in that particular science, then what you are seeing is only an imaginative creation of your mind, right? So that's called swapna, dream. Understanding? But then when people are specifically engaging in some spiritual activities, then they develop this internal sense through which they are able to perceive things beyond what general people can perceive.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Noted. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So it depends on what background you carry. Depends on that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, this Hiranmaya Patrena can be experienced, it's only experienced by the impersonalists, or it's even experienced by the personalists like us also?
We already discussed this, right? That for those who are specifically aiming for Brahman realization.
Yeah, but understand.
Sorry?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It was not very clear to me, actually.
What was not clear?
I just need your help to understand this Hiranmaya Patrena is experienced by the personalists, by the impersonalists, or it's also experienced by the personalists like us, the bhaktas?
It is mostly experienced by impersonalists. Mostly experienced by impersonalists. But if as a personalist also you are doing mixed bhakti, then sometimes you may also get that kind of vision.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Uma Mataji.
Yeah, Krishna Prabhu, in Mantra 15, there is something that is mentioned that the materialistic Sankhya yogi can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation. Can you tell me what are the 24 factors?
We'll study that in Bhagavad-gita. So we'll study.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Uttam Indulekha Mataji. If Krishna knows everything and gives us what we deserve, how important is it for us to pray? Yes. Do we really have to ask Krishna? Very true. So Krishna definitely knows how much to give to us, when to give to us, when not to give to us. When we are talking about the science of praying or art of praying, it is being told to us to practice because that will help us depend more on Krishna. It will help us to remember Krishna more. You know? When you are so Krishna conscious that you are 24 hours, every single moment connected to Krishna, then you will not need such things to be done because you are so Krishna conscious. But here, this is just a tool, actually. It's a tool for us to utilize so that we can be more Krishna conscious. It will help us. So, what is helpful at the lower stages was given up at the higher stages. So, it will be good for us to practice that. Now, when we get to higher stages, still we would pray, but then our prayers would change. Prayer, we should understand, prayer is a way of expressing your thoughts and desires to Krishna. Now, let's say, I want to do something for you. You really don't need it from me. I want to give a gift to you. I want to do some seva to you. And you don't need it. You are very happy yourself. You are enjoying life. Now, if I need to, somewhat push you to allow me to do it for you, then I would request you, yes, that though you don't need this, please give me a chance to serve you. Please allow me to do this thing to you. Now, when you express this desire, what is this desire called? It is called prayer. So prayers are here. Prayer does not mean, oh, I'm in problem, Krishna, please come help me. That's not the only time you pray, or that's not the only one kind of prayer to be spoken to Krishna. Prayer is also basically expressing your heart to Krishna. Right? Isn't it? Now, that is very natural. Even if Krishna is a judge and is going to give us what we deserve, but the nature of a child is what? The nature of a child is to ask. The nature of a dependent is to depend. That is also there, isn't it? That rasa is also there. Otherwise, it's not like a business deal. I've done my part, now you do your part. Why do I have to ask you for it? So we need to pray. Yes. Can we pray that give us what you think is best for us and develop our bhakti? Yes. Yes. We can pray for that. Who are Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma? They have already experienced Brahma Jyoti. Yes, they have experienced Brahma Jyoti. That's why they are called Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. They have experienced Brahma Jyoti. But experiencing Brahma Jyoti does not mean that they will also be always seeing the light. For some, it is very visual, so they see the light. For some, it's the experience, that kind of consciousness, which is of someone on Brahman platform. What is that consciousness? Everywhere that person sees only souls, doesn't see the material body. Right? So that is that level of consciousness. Seeing the light is just more pictorial representation of that consciousness, or a more pictorial version of that consciousness. To some people it may happen, to some people it may not happen. Fine.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, is very confusing for me if yogis are aspiring to see the Lord as Paramatma. Aren't they personalists as well, because they meditate on 𝗪𝗏 Vishnu, which is also person, expansion of.
Okay. So it's not just that because I accept a form, I have to be personalist. That's one level of personalism. Highest level of personalism is I accept that you have a form and I want to serve that form. Right? Just to accept that you have a form, you have a shape. that is personalism, but that's a very low level of personalism, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The highest level of personalism, or complete personalism, is you have a form, you have a personality, you have a nature, you have qualities, you like, you dislike, you have desires. And I want to now relate with that, with you in that manner. That's complete personalism.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a borderline between complete impersonalism and personalism in a real sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. See, when we say any terms like personalism, impersonalism, this, that, these are abstract. Then there is always going to be a gray shade between all these terminologies. It's like, black and white, and then in between, what is there? Gray shade. So most of the people, they always fall in the gray shade part. Extremes are difficult to find. All right, so we'll take a break before we go to the next verse. Hare Krishna, welcome back. Continue with mantra 16, and it's a continuation of the same prayer. The devotee is praying to Lord to remove the effulgence and reveal the spiritual form. Pushane Karshne Yamasuri Prajapatya Vyuharashmin Samoha Tejoyatte Rupam Kalyanatamam Tatte Pashyami Yo Savaso Purushaha Sohamasmi. The translation. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as I am. As I am. Soham asmi. So the word soham, which is very much liked by impersonalists, is given here. Soham asmi. Srila Baladeva explains brilliantly that soham or saha aham here does not mean that I am he and he is me. It means saha aham asmi. I am also like him, which means there is some oneness, some similarity, which we don't deny. So Srila Prabhupada therefore begins to explain on that note from the first paragraph that how the Supreme Lord and the living entities are one, but qualitatively and not in quantity. Second paragraph, let's read. Venkata Bhatt Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. The Brahma Jyoti is described in the Brahma Samhita as the rays emanating from the supreme spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavana, just as the sun's rays emanate from the sun globe. Until one surpasses the glare of the Brahma Jyoti, one cannot receive information at the land of the Lord. The impersonalist philosophers, blending as they are by the dazzling Brahma Jyoti, can realize neither the factual abode of the Lord nor his transcendental form, limited by their poor fund of knowledge. Such impersonalist thinkers cannot understand the all blissful transcendental form of the Lord Krishna. In these prayers, therefore, Sri Ishopanishad petitions the Lord to remove the effulgent rays of the Brahmajyoti so that the pure devotees can see his all blissful transcendental form. Haribol.
Yes. Please read this paragraph. Sureka Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Sarvapranam. In his Bhagavad-gita, Srila Jiva Goswami states the complete conception of absolute truth is realized in the personality of Godhead because he is almighty and possesses full transcendental potencies. The full potency of absolute truth is not realized in the Brahma Jyoti. Therefore, Brahma realization is only partial realization of the personality of Godhead. O learned sages, the first syllable of the word Bhagavan has two meanings. The first is one who fully maintains, and the second is guardian. The second syllable ga means guide, leader, or creator. The syllable one indicates that every being lives in him and that he also lives in every being. In the other words, the transcendental sound Bhagwan represent infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence, all without a tinge of material in verity.
Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this. So, looking at this topic of Brahma Jyoti, the analogy which Srila Prabhupada gives us, sun god is Krishna, sun globe is Golok Vrindavan, sunshine is Brahma Jyoti, sun rays are the living entities. This is the explanation given. Now for Bhagavan, the explanation given by Jiva Goswami is, Bha means one who fully maintains or who is a guardian. Ga means guide, leader, creator. Man means everyone lives in him. So this is a new kind of or a different kind of definition. We generally take the definition given by Parashar Muni. One who possesses Bhaga is known as Bhagavan, possessor of opulences. Now this is a different meaning given by Jiva Goswami, that one who maintains, one who guards, acts as a guide, leader, or creator, and everyone's in him, and he is in everyone. That's called Bhagavan, which means Bhagavan represents infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence. Fine. Previous slide. So, someone wanted to see the previous slide. Next paragraph. The first line is very important. Vishwanath Prabhu. Vishwanath Mukunda.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanat Pranam. The Lord fully maintains his unalloyed devotees, and he guides them progressively on the path toward devotional perfection. As the leader of his devotees, he ultimately awards the desired results of devotional service by giving himself to them. The devotees of the Lord see the Lord eye to eye by his causeless mercy. Thus, the Lord helps his devotees reach the supermost spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavana. Being the creator, he can bestow all necessary qualifications upon his devotees so that they can ultimately reach him. The Lord is the cause of all causes. In other words, since there is nothing that caused him, he is the original cause. Consequently, he enjoys his... can you move, Prabhu, little up? He enjoys his own self by manifesting his own internal potency. The external potency is not exactly manifested by him, for he expands himself as the Purushas, and it is in these forms that he maintains the features of the material manifestation. By such expansions, he creates, maintains, and annihilates the cosmic manifestation. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. Fine. So now let's look at the explanation given on the word Soham by Vidyabhushana Prabhu. It's very beautiful because this is something which people keep on talking about. Madhvacharya also explains this, and Vidyabhushana also explains this. So generally, Soham means that Lord and we are same. Saha means he, Aham means I. So Soham means he is me and I am him. And asmi means is, so he is me, like that. Madhvacharya says, saha means he, aham, aham. So he who cannot be discarded. He's giving a different meaning here. He's saying aham does not just mean I. Aham also means one who cannot be rejected, cannot be discarded, cannot be neglected, which means one who is supreme. Asmi means situated in all beings. So then the meaning changes. So aham asmi means then he is the Supreme Lord who is residing in all the living entities. Changes the meaning. Then the meaning is no longer he is me or I am him. The meaning is changed. So it's just a play of Sanskrit grammar. And both are correct actually. Both sounds correct. But Madhvacharya says, we should take that meaning which is in sync with the meanings given in Vedic scriptures in other places. That's how your study of the Vedic scriptures is correct. Otherwise, you will be deriving one meaning here, another meaning there, and they'll not gel with each other. Now, Vedanta Deshika, he says, Saha means he, the supreme conscious entity, or the Lord within the Sa. Aham means the Jiva. Through the Jiva, the Paramatma within the Jiva, because Paramatma is also Aham of the Jiva, the soul of the soul, Asmi. So he's saying that soul of the soul, Saha, is me, the Paramatma dwelling within the heart of the person. Who is that person? That person is person in the sun. So in this way, we get different meanings. And Baladeva Vidyabhushana Prabhu also explains similarly that Saha Aham Asmi means that I am like him. I am like him. Now, here, this particular slide teaches us something very important, essential. Knowledge, jnana, pratikul to bhakti and jnana anukul to bhakti. So, this is so nice subject. If you understand this subject, it can also help us in our day-to-day life, very practical. It's because it helps us to also maintain our relationships with other people whom we know who are around us in a very balanced manner. One aspect of knowledge is I accept I am not different from Krishna. Another aspect of knowledge is I understand and accept I am different from Krishna. There is a difference and there is oneness, right? We have understood it philosophically. There is difference, there is oneness. When a person meditates too much on the factor that we are similar, I am like you are like me, what happens then? Then I will start losing respect for you, and you will start losing respect for me. I'll stop having any interest in you, and you will also stop having any interest in me. Why? Because I see you just like me, and you see me just like yourself. So the knowledge of oneness, it has a big problem. If you focus too much on this, it makes you start disrespecting the other person or not value that person as much as that person should be valued. Give a practical example from modern culture and lifestyle that this kind of attitude, how is it spoiling relationship at the present times?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I say?
Sorry?
Yes, Prabhu. I hope like men's and women's are equal.
Okay, very good. Nice. Good. Yes, good example, Master. So when husband and wife, they start thinking that they're almost equal. I can do everything you can do, and you can do everything I can do. Then they start losing that respect, which would genuinely come or naturally come if you see, no, you have some role to play and I cannot play that, and I have some role to play and you cannot play that. Means I cannot replace you, you cannot replace me. But when I can do everything you can do, why would I need you? What's your importance? What are you adding to my life? Don't you find people with such mentality nowadays? Yes, so much so. It's there in the society. There's so many women, they think we don't need a husband now anymore because we can do everything that husband does for us. And so many men also think we need not have a wife, we need not have a wife. We can just manage like that. So this focus on oneness, it somehow or other strips apart the dependence factor, and you stop depending on the other person. It makes you very independent. But the good part about oneness is what? If you emphasize too much on difference, too much, like totally poles apart, then for those two people to gel together is also very difficult, because like you are so different and I'm so different. Then it's not possible to have a relationship only. So if you emphasize too much on difference, like for example, a family of 5 people, and they never agree with each other, what will happen? What will happen in that case? Fight, quarrel. Too much difference. Then that is also not healthy. So how a relationship remains best maintained? When you have little differences and little similarities. Then the relationship is best. And that's what 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗪 philosophy is. I am like Krishna, I am not Krishna. I am not like Krishna. So when I focus on my oneness with Krishna, that helps me to establish a relationship with Krishna. If I focus to the extent it is required, not too much. If I focus too much on oneness, then Krishna is me, I am Krishna, he is God, I am God. We don't have to worship anyone if you focus too much on the oneness. But if you take it in a balanced manner, I can have a relationship with Krishna because we are similar. And if I focus too much on the difference, then again there will be a difficulty. So we have to accept that difference also in the required quantity. This is one way of understanding how the philosophy given by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗪 philosophy, is the best way to approach relationship with God. If I don't understand this philosophy, my relationship with Krishna will not be the best. It will have some problems. Similarly, I can adopt these principles towards any relationship I have with anyone on this planet. Right? If I emphasize too much on oneness, problem. If I emphasize too much on difference, problem. So this knowledge of oneness, when you apply it too much, it makes your heart hard. End of bhakti. And when you apply the knowledge of oneness to the required amount and difference to the right amount, then there's stabilization of bhakti process or bhakti practices, and it enhances your appreciation for Krishna. That's why you see the Vedic society was designed like that it never taught you how to be independent. It taught you how to be interdependent. Interdependence means there's something which you can do, there's something I can do. For what I can do, you depend on me. For what you can do, I depend on you. In this way, I respect you, I serve you, you respect me, you serve me. Work together, right? And independence means I can do everything on myself. I don't need anyone. I don't need you. That leads to disrupted relationships. Very much. Okay, fine. We'll stop here. Any questions or comments? Please lower your hands. Do some hand exercise. Is third eye opening relevant in the subject matter? Does it surpass Brahma Jyoti? Is it an indirect outcome of Bhakti Yoga? Different people will give different meaning to the third eye. So, what actually third eye signifies? Third eye signifies that your vision is not like the mundane vision which ordinary people have. That's called third eye, if you metaphorically understand it. What does third eye mean? You don't see like how ordinary people see. You see beyond the surface level. That's third eye, right? So it doesn't literally mean that you need to have that third eye between the eyebrows, between the two eyes. You need to develop that third eye, like Lord Shiva, and it should suddenly open sometime and scare people away. No. Here it means that you develop a different perception. So does a devotee have a third eye? Yes, a devotee has a very different perception of the world compared to an ordinary person. Understanding, Mataji? Fine. So it doesn't mean that we have to literally have that eye here, the third one. It means perception, vision, what you do through that eye. Lord Shiva has the third eye. The third eye concept comes from him. He has a third eye in his Rudra avatar. And he uses that third eye to annihilate the whole world. Through that third eye, he releases his anger, the waves of anger, the vision, which destroys the whole creation, cosmic creation. And because the yogis, they are trying to imitate Lord Shiva. So because he's their master, so they also want to have that third eye, copycat. They want to have that third eye. Real meaning of third eye is having that vision, the spiritual vision. So yes, devotees have third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh eye, whatever number they may give. Means a different vision from ordinary people. Different vision. Fine. Lalita Prishta, Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hoji. Prabhupada mentioned that Jiva Goswami mentioned that Bhagavan represents the infinite knowledge, potency, energy of Puransa. And I don't know what's the detailed relationship between this Ba, Ga, and Va, because it seems that if he is a fully maternal, we can see his potency, or how to say, and if he is a guide, leader, or creator, we can see the, how to say, maybe energy. So there is any, how to say, internal relationship between each of the word to these six opulences.
So how he came to that explanation, that's a very technical stuff. For us, we'll need to understand Sanskrit grammar. In Sanskrit, all these aksharas, they are the origin or roots, dhatu, of word. So bha is a dhatu, ga is a dhatu, dhatu rupa. And because we don't know Sanskrit, it's very difficult for us to then comprehend how can bha means this, how can ga means this, how van means this, and then when you combine them together, how do you get this complete meaning? We'll not get into that. We don't have to also spend time understanding that. So Jiva Goswami is explaining how Bhagavan means this, and when we understand Bhagavan means this, we understand that Bhagavan is a person who has these qualities. To be a guide is a personal quality. To be a creator is a personal quality. To have these opulences is a personal quality. That's the message that they are trying to give to us through this explanation. Fine. All right. Thank you. The external potency is not exactly manifested by him, for he expands himself as the Purusha. Can you explain this a bit? Yes, Prabhu. So the Supreme Lord, he does not manifest the Maya Shakti directly. Krishna does not manifest the Maya Shakti directly. Krishna's expansion, Purusha avatar, the Vishnu expansion of the Lord. It's he who expands the Maya Shakti. From every form of the Lord, different energies are coming out. So this Maya Shakti, the Maya energy of Krishna, it is coming out from a particular form of the Lord, who is known as Mahavishnu or Purusha Avatar, the first Vishnu, because ultimately that Purusha Avatar is also coming from Krishna. So everything coming from Purusha Avatar will also be known as coming from Krishna only, isn't it? But it's not directly coming from Krishna, it's coming through him. So it's a kind of an indirect relationship. That's what is being mentioned here, that the Maya Shakti is manifested by the Purusha avatar of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna does not manifest that Maya Shakti. He does not handle it by himself. That's the job of Purusha avatar to handle. Vishnu handles Maya Shakti. Krishna does not. Krishna doesn't have time for that. Krishna is busy in his pastimes as Vishnu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So the Bhagwan's definition was like given by Srila Goswami was that he maintains, he creates, but the destroyer property was not given. But when we read the purport, his expansions, he creates, maintains, and inhalates the cosmic manifestation. So can we understand that only Purusha Avatar will have the inhalation or the destroy? He doesn't destroy when he's in, as you said, he enjoys his pastimes.
No, when we use the word Bhagavan, the word Bhagavan doesn't just refer to Krishna alone. The word Bhagavan refers to the other expansions of Krishna also. Krishna is therefore known as Purna Purushottama Bhagavan, or like the complete God. So it's not like that. Even Krishna's expansion is destroying, so that destructive potency is ultimately coming from Krishna only. It's just that he's not making his hands dirty with that job. Right? But ultimately it's coming from him only. It's not that, it's just like, to give you an example, when you are unzipping folders. So within one folder, you can unzip and you can have then 10 folders. And then you can unzip them again, and then you can have so many folders. So ultimately everything came from that first folder, right? But directly it came from which folder? The folder which was inside. Something like that. Manifestation happened through the folder inside. So the Maya Shakti is originally coming from Krishna only, but it manifests through a particular form of Krishna. That's what is being explained.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Vendarani Mataji.
I have a question related to first sentence of last paragraph of mantra 16. Here it is mentioned that Brahman is mentioned as all-pervading feature. I thought that Paramatma is all-pervading aspect of, so I'm confused.
Both are all-pervading. Both are all-pervading. Brahman is also all-pervading as an energy. Paramatma is all-pervading as the super soul in the heart. Both are all-pervading. Just like sunshine is everywhere, right? Sunshine is everywhere. When the sun is out in the daytime, the sunshine is everywhere. And if you try to find the sun in the sky, you'll also find the sun in the sky. That is also everywhere. For anyone present on the planet will see the sun right at that time. So that is also all-pervading. Just that all-pervasiveness is in a different manner, but it's all-pervading. Similarly, Krishna as Bhagavan is also all-pervading. How that same Krishna, if I pray to him, he will manifest in front of me. That same Krishna, someone is praying in America to him, will manifest in front of him or her. Someone is in heavenly planets and prays to Krishna, that same Krishna manifests in front of him also. At any time, in any place, in any situation. So he's also all-pervading. But Brahman is only all-pervading. Paramatma is all-pervading plus something. And Bhagavan is all-pervading plus something. plus something.
In which way is Brahman all pervading?
It's
How can
only
we
all.
see? I'm sorry?
It's only all pervading. How can we see Brahman? Then your question is?
Yeah, how can we see as all pervading?
Because all right, you won't be able to see it, but you understand it that way, because every single element which exists, that is made up of Brahman. So it's all pervading, no? Like you look around your room, whatever you see, that's made of Brahman. So it's all pervading. Like sky or ether. Ether is everywhere, right? It's everywhere. It's inside you, it's outside you, it's in every single object. So it's all pervading. It's like the fabric of whatever is built with that fabric. It's like that. Similarly, Brahman is like that fabric which has manufactured everything. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
The question I have is relating to the annihilation and the Purusha incarnations. So we know that there's three, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Karanodakshaya Vishnu. So at the point of annihilation, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu goes back into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu goes back to Karanodakshaya Vishnu. So then in the spiritual world, you only see existing Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Is that a correct understanding?
In the spiritual world, when you say spiritual world, then Karanodakshaya Vishnu will also be not there. Because Karanodakshaya Vishnu exists just for the sake of the material world or material creation. When you say spiritual world, then you are talking about planets in the spiritual world, which are known as Vaikuntha Lokas. So then you'll see another form of Lord Vishnu, which is not Karanodakshaya, which may be someone else. There are so many different forms of Vishnu explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So you'll see one of them, not Karanodakshaya.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Anju Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, to my understanding, is it like the mantra 16 is an extension of mantra 15 itself? Like again?
Yeah, it's a continuation.
Continuation, right? So suppose we need to explain mantra 16, then mantra 15 is already explained in mantra 16, right?
Yeah, it's not fully, it's a part of it. Like, for example, the word Hiranmayana Patrena, and all that is the part. Then the next thing is there. But it is similar. And why it is similar is just like when you are asking something to someone, then it's generally seen that you don't request that person in just for once. You request that person in multiple times in different ways. Isn't it? Like, for example, if I want a glass of water from you and I'm really thirsty and you are taking time to bring it, so I'll say, can I have a glass of water? And just 1 second goes, a glass of water, please. So you are making the same request in a different way, slightly different way. That's because of those urgency of the need. Yes, I need it now. That's how we feel.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. All right, so we stop here. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. We'll complete this book tomorrow. And then you can prepare for your exams in the next week. All right. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada.